Hey everybody, you are tuned in to Hanging with Here to Zen, the show that is a place for people who love all kinds of music. We really hope you enjoy your time with us today. Make sure you hit subscribe if you already haven't, and hit that notification bell to be kept up to date. We would love to hear from you over on our social media platforms, so just search Here to Zen and you'll find us. Lastly, could you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify or Google Podcasts, or wherever you're going to be tuning in from? Those reviews help other people to find us, so we appreciate the reviews and the support. Thanks so much for tuning in. All right, today we're going to be hanging with Robert DeLeo. He's celebrating the release of his first solo album, Lessons Learned. We're going to have a look at the journey of that album, the rest of his career, because he's now the pilot of his own temple. So welcome, Robert.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. So congrats on the album. I really love it. And it's like it's a step back from your day job, so to speak. But it's stripped back, it's simple, but yet it displays the emotions. How did you mix all of that into one album?
You know, I wanted to make a record where you could, I know it sounds funny, but where you could hear the air. I wanted space, and I wanted that tenderness of being able to feel that air and hear that air in there. Yeah, that's basically what I was trying to do.
So for me as the listener, I understand what you're saying about the air. It reminds me, without trying to say it sounds dated, but it reminds me of albums from the 70s where everything was given its opportunity to shine. It wasn't compressed. It wasn't overproduced. Is that something that was important to you?
As a producer and as a writer of the songs, yes. You know, I certainly wasn't trying to go for anything in particular, but I definitely would have loved to make my influences proud,
Sure.
so to speak. Yeah.
When it came to the album, where were you drawing the influential inspiration from?
It was from inside. It was all from inside. It's been quite a journey, and I was really just drawing from inside. It started with just having all this time with the world kind of stopping.
Yep.
And trying to really get back in touch with my guitar playing, and seeing what these instruments that I have a really nice collection of old acoustic guitars, and I knew I wanted this record to be acoustic, and keep it in that vein. You know, I always write acoustically. All my songs have come from acoustic, but to make the decision to keep it there is really what meant a lot to me.
Sure. So you talk about writing songs on acoustic. Now, I've talked to other bands in the past and read a lot of interviews where they say that if you can't sit down and play it on an acoustic guitar, it probably isn't going to be a good song to begin with. Would you agree?
I would. I would. I think being able to take a song, no matter what song it is, and play it acoustically, it gives it a fundamental sound that's a root of where it came from. And that always meant and means a lot to me.
Okay, so I spoke with a couple of people leading up to the album's release and since it, and they say to me, "Oh, what style do you think it is?" And my answer is always the same: is I don't think it's got a style. I think it's got a vibe. Your album has a vibe. So for me, rather than pigeonholing it, what was the vibe you wanted on this album besides air, besides space?
I think the overall tone of the album is a universal one of love lost and love gained and love lost. And I think it's just my version of it. And that's what I was trying to capture, just my version of that heartbreak and heartache and love, and trying to figure out what it is and what it means. And I think that's just the way it came out. I think it just those instruments that I chose really spoke. I on that note, I have this instrument which is a cigar box, and it's a 4-string cigar box. And I did a couple of the songs on the record of this. This is a
Yep.
great sounding instrument, just inspirational as soon as you pick it up.
Yeah. Now, do you think that having no rules like that, like going, hey, going to get a cigar box on this, is what leads artists like yourself to produce such well-rounded albums, is by having no rules.
Yes, and that's very well said, because that's really what got me inspired and involved in music, is because it doesn't have any rules,
Yep.
and you can make of it what you want. I also paint, and your mind's the limit.
Yep.
And yeah, I that's what really drew me to music in the first place.
So you talked before about love being a theme and being a vibe on this album. Was there clearly a love for the acoustic guitar that you may have rediscovered, would you say, in doing this album?
Yes, it was not only that, it was really just rediscovering my playing. I wouldn't say I've been playing too much bass, but I haven't been playing enough guitar. And that guitar playing led me to this record, and or led me back, I should say, to my playing.
Yep. Okay, so everyone knows you as the bass player of STP. Um, a lot of bass players use the guitar purely as a songwriting tool, but for me, I see this album, the guitar is actually an extension of you. What what songs do you think on this album, like all of them represent you, but what represents you reconnecting with that extension on guitar the best?
I think they all do, because the reason I say that is because I chose so many different instruments, acoustic instruments, whether they be Gibsons or Martins, or each one has its own personality to me, and that personality really speaks in every song. I think there's a part of me, whether it be a finger picking style. I mostly prefer finger picking.
Yep.
I don't really ever play with a pick, but that's what I was really trying to achieve, is with each song and each instrument, a piece of me in every one of those.
Sure. Now the artwork, it shows for me like a bit of a virtual mini guitar store there on it. Um, Out of all the ones that you are pictured with, what is your prized possession to use on
Oh,
this record?
well, as far as basses go, I would say it's that Fender. It's a 1959
Yep.
Fender P bass, and that is really one of the most amazing instruments I've ever picked up. I also love the main guitar I always go to is that Gibson. It's a 55 Gibson J45, which I love too. But I'm a huge fan of old wood and how it speaks.
Okay. Now on all of this, you've got guests everywhere on this album, but we still don't get to hear you sing. Was that a conscious decision?
Well, actually, I'm singing on the last song. I'm singing on "Is This Goodbye." Yeah, that's me on the end.
Wow.
Yeah, that's me on the end song.
I've got to say, I'll be brutally honest and go, when you meet someone or you see someone and you think, what's their voice going to be like? I totally didn't pick it as you.
Yeah, it's I don't consider myself a singer. I sing when it's required
Yeah,
in STP. But I felt like I needed to end this record and end this journey with all of me. But I picked singers that to me really made the song come alive, really made the song speak, each song. And people have asked me, why didn't you sing more? And I just didn't want to be in a position at the end of this record where I was judging it
sure.
and judging my singing or my limitations of singing. I
Yep.
wanted to hear this as a listener, and I think it's important as a musician to always be a listener and a fan of music. That's what keeps you humble.
Yeah. In saying that, do you think it's more important what you don't play and don't sing on an album as opposed to what you do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are many albums I love that do have limitations. And there's a beauty in that. So that's why I chipped in
Yeah.
That's why I sang one of them at least, so you can hear my limitations.
Sure. And what I mean by that is I can think of things like old Beatles albums where they just didn't have enough tracks. Not like today where you can go into Pro Tools and put 200 tracks. They had 16 tracks at best, and they had to do what they could.
I mean, some of these songs have 3 or 4 tracks,
Yeah.
and I wanted to keep it that way. And there's something simple about, and like you said, you can hear. I wanted to hear the quality of each instrument.
Yep.
Hear what that instrument is adding to the song as an arrangement.
Sure. Now, learning more about you, you grew up in New Jersey, so you would have grown up around a time of a very vibrant music scene in New Jersey and a very big club scene. How do you think that shaped you as a player and a writer leading into your future?
Dean and I played in a bar band, and I was doing that when I was 17 years old, and mostly covers. And some people kind of frown on covers, but I looked at it like it was a great learning experience to how other people make their music, and it shaped it really shaped what I do today. I think more so it was radio and things when I was little, because I was the youngest of many brothers and sisters, and being able to hear all the things coming out of the rooms, it was a vast array of sonic sonic heaven melding together, and so much to take in. And that's another thing. Just being a good listener is really what shapes you as a musician to me.
Sure. Now, you have written some timeless songs throughout your career. Has there ever been one song that someone else wrote that you wish you had have written?
Oh, there's plenty of them. I always look at people like Burt Bacharach. I listen to Burt Bacharach's music and I think, man, where did you get that from?
Yep.
But there's so many, Led Zeppelin, Stones, all this melting pot of just many different Everly Brothers, George Jones, so many people that have inspired me all through the years.
Now, is Lessons Learned the beginning of things to come for you? Are we going to hear more from you in the way of solo stuff?
Yes. I feel like I accomplished something by doing this.
Yeah.
It was very daunting to think about taking this all on and playing all the guitars and playing most of the instruments. And but it was something I needed to do. I didn't want to do it. I needed to do it. And there were times that I struggled through trying to figure out being a producer, an arranger, a writer, lyricist, sometimes singer. It's a lot, but I have to tell you, when the record was on Apple Music and I bought it off there myself, and I listened to it kind of now that it's on the other side. It's away from me and out in the public, and it felt so good. It felt so good to finally have that done.
Yeah, I know when I bought it off Apple myself, I listened to it two different ways. I had it like on a sound bar, and I was like, yeah, cool. But the minute I put a good set of headphones on, it just took me back to a place of being a kid where your parents would have that huge stereo in the lounge room with the curly, headphones, like headphone cord. And it's just a headphone album. Like, nothing wrong with listening to it in the car or however you choose, but I've got to say, everyone needs to put a set of good headphones on and take it in.
Thank you. That's well said.
Would you view this album as more of an experience than an album?
Yes, indeed. It's been a journey.
Yep. So what's next for Robert in terms of journey?
I think more STP, playing out. Hopefully coming back down to your beautiful country. It's such a wonderful time down there.
Yep.
Really. Everyone was so gracious and friendly and nice and humble and amazing.
Yeah. I've heard some rumors we might see you next year.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know,
Um,
the two Under the Southern Stars shows that we took in and press conferences and interviews and all that, we couldn't have been treated better by all of you in the band. So
oh,
we're pumped. But I
yeah.
also love to see you do, for want of a better word, a little coffee shop acoustic tour. I'd love to see that.
Yes, that's something I was thinking about. I think I just needed to get past this whole thing of making the record and getting it done. And, there's really no record company here. I shot the front cover, and I just finished up the video for Love Is Not Made of Gold. And it's all basically homegrown, from my hands to, the vinyl's getting done this month. And, everything is kind of coming together, so it's really a great feeling to know that I'm doing it all myself. It's all DIY.
Amazing. Now, that cigar box guitar, what what is the hardest riff you've got, or what's the easiest riff? Give us a riff.
Well, I just like the love
Everyone,
this.
Robert DeLeo, cigar box guitar solo for Here to Zen. Perfect. Robert, I'm going to leave you with it. Thank you so much for creating such a great experience for us all in this album. And
Thank you.
I cannot wait to either see you solo or with the day job back down here next year. Look forward to catching up then.
Thank you so much.
No
Thank you.
worries. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes, you too. Thank you. That was a great interview. Thank you so much.